Hi, I'm keeping the lid on my art chest closed because what I've got in there, I just don't want to get away. You want to find out what it is? Dinosaur? No, maybe not so, not that. Snake? Let's have a look. Where is it? Oh. Oh, there it is. Look at my beautiful, beautiful little butterfly. Now this butterfly has something in art we call symmetry. Similar, symmetry, and notice how the designs on my butterfly's wings on this side and this side look exactly alike. Is this a real butterfly? No, really, it's made out of paper. I have it over here. There's a little wire, and I just wanted it to be an example for you because our lesson is going to have a lot to do with symmetry today. Hey, wait a minute, wants to get away. I thought that thing was made out of paper, and it just flew away. Son of a gun. Was that a trick on you? Okay. Well, we're going to do fold painting. And this technique is a real good one for all you boys and girls who like real happy accidents. You're going to, well, I'll tell you as I go along. By the way, I want you all to have newspaper at your desk, and you're going to do this lesson after I get all done today. I'll show you how it's done, and we'll do it afterward. I want you to have newspaper on your desk so as to catch any paint that might squeeze out. So I'm going to put that down there right now. And by the way, I'm going to show you a special tube that I have, mustard and ketchup container tubes like this. These can be purchased, or, you know, when you go down the store and get ketchup and mustard, you can get those tubes and wash them out, and later on put paint in them. I'm going to squeeze out some blue tempera paint, and red, and yellow. What colors am I missing? Black and white. I got a special little drawer down here where all these things get collected. All right, there I have my colors in my little pan like that. And in case you have jars of tempera, this is the way you can put your paint out too. Then we'll take our brush, which I have in my drawer here, and we're going to start doing the painting with that. Now I'll pick up a piece of my construction paper. Boys and girls, it doesn't matter to me whether you fold it this way or fold it the long way. Because although you were thinking about the butterfly, and it may turn out to be a butterfly, this is going to be just a real, real happy accident type of thing. Well, I shouldn't say happy accident, because I want you to have some thought about how you're going to do it. But as the colors get mixed up and your designs start to go along, we're all going to end up with something very, very different, okay? All right, here we go. I'll fold this piece of paper. Watch how I do this now, because boys and girls in first and second grade, lower elementary, need to see how the paper should be folded. I always see boys and girls put their paper together like this, hold on to this side, then raise their hand here, and then start to fold the paper. And as it's folding, it curls and goes crooked. Now, the way I would like you to do it is get your hands and your edges over here, the paper even. Then I want you to come down with your hands like this and crush the paper first. Then fold on it, and your edges will be even. That's a good thing you should remember all the time, to get good folding edges like that. So many lessons you will do that need that. All right? Now as I open up my paper, let's see, here I go. I'll go and get my paint. This is called fold painting. Here's the fold. Let me set you fellows out of the way for just a second. I'll reach down and get my paint and load your brush up with it like this. Okay, put some painting on the fold. Now I could have a little cup of water here to wash my brush out each time, but what I'm going to do, since we're going to get these to mix up a little bit, I'm going to just go back into the paint and grab some additional color. Now I think what I better do right now before that dries too much is take my piece of paper now and fold it over. Who knows why I've got the newspaper now on my desk? Right, because sometimes when you're doing this and you fold it down, if the paint is too close to the edge and you squeeze, the paint will come out the other side. Let's have a look what's happened. Now, you're getting a little bit of an idea what happens here sometimes. You've got to put the paint on heavy, you've got to put the paint on fast so that the one side doesn't dry. Your room may be very warm, and so consequently, as you put it on one side, it quickly soaks into your paper. If that should ever happen, just go back and decide that you're going to put more paint on real quickly to get the situation to occur, and look at it and see if it's shining. If it's shining, it's still wet. Then again, you press down on your paper and let the image come out like this. Now, did you want that to come out smooth? All right. I can go back and put more paint. But boys and girls, you're going to get a lot of situations where the paint, as it starts to pull apart, will give you different kinds of textures. Textures are the way something feels, either rough or smooth. And I like that. I like that effect, okay? Let me keep going over here. Notice this one line here, it didn't transfer over. More yellow paint. Put it on there, and don't wait and do this one. Put your brush back down, and then fold your paper over and squeeze on. There, now it transfers over. How about putting one color on top of another color? Okay, yes, you can do that. And I'll put some over here and put some here on the fold. Let's see what occurs now. Which way shall I fold it? Shall I fold it this way or shall I fold this over? All right, that's a kind of decision. If your painting is kind of runny, you lift it up, it might run for you. So it might be good to fold this other side over. How do you like it so far? Now, do you see that when you're working with the brush, you've got to work a little faster, put more paint on. But now let me take and use my tubes and show you the advantage of that. I have my paint now in the tube. As I start to put it on my piece of paper, watch now as I do this. I start to squeeze some of the paint out, and more paint comes out. When I fold it over and press on it, then I get a much bigger transfer. Still you want more paint on there? Okay, we're sure going to use it up today, right? Why not take and put a spot here, and then just to be experimental, that happens to be white, I'll put some blue on top of it. And then as we fold it over, how shall I do it? This way? Oh, that might run for me. Let's do it this way. You can feel sometimes the weight of the paint underneath the paper. And sometimes you can get some special effects by taking your fingers over here, your thumb, and pressing on it so it spreads out. Always a happy surprise when we open up the inside. Oh, look at that. Looks like I have some sort of face over here of a person. See that? Now I stayed away from the edge over here, so I can say, well, maybe that picture's done. It didn't run off the page. Shall I try another one? This was done that way. Let me take and... Did you like the black paper? You could use any colors you want, but since I did that one the tall way, what I think I'll do now is do this one sideways, so I have it here. And now, boys and girls, just let me kind of decide. I'm going to be planning a little bit more as I go along. Fold over. I'm always excited, and I know you will be too, each time you open it up to see what it looks like. Ah, yes, okay. Whatever you put on one side will occur on the other side. And while I'm doing that, let's put some blue in here too. A couple blue dots. Fold it over. Woo! Look at that. Some red. I'll go back on top of the white a little bit. Put some red in here. I love this lesson. I know you will too. See, now we're getting no paint on your desktop. I think I'll just give a little bit more center. Oh, someone said right now, that kind of looks like a butterfly. Does it? Then what I want you to do is take your chalk, and I want you to go ahead and draw your butterfly, get the body, the top part like this, and you look at butterfly shapes, and just go along and get that old baby cut out, and get that nice shape that you might be thinking of. I'm doing this while it's wet. Sometimes boys and girls wait till this is dry. And I've got it all cut out. Here we go. We'll open it up. Come on. And there's the shape of a butterfly like this. One that flew away a little while ago that was made out of paper, and this is made out of paper and paint. This is called fold painting, and it gives you a lot of expression over here. You can see how different colors mix, and if you want to, you can see how I use the brush and the paint. So you can do it that way if you don't have the tubes. But I'm going to ask you and the teacher to start saving your mustard and ketchup containers so you have that. Fill them, and then when you wish to do a lesson like this, it turns out so much better when you can put more tempera paint on like that, okay? So, we'll see you again next time. I have other treasures in that art chest over there, and we'll be doing those and having a great deal of fun. Hi there. You know that artists paint in many ways, and you're an artist, right? They paint with their hands, with finger paint, with brushes, a palette knife, with sponges. And I'll bet you our art chest has something special for us today. Boy, you're going to love this lesson. I love it. I can hardly wait to get going. Oh, yes. Let's have a look. Look at this beautiful picture done by Greg. Paint up here and some sponge painting on top. The edges are torn, but that's for a special reason. But look at the white parts. How do you think he did that? Well, that was done with another important tool that's in our art chest today. It's a tube of paint. These are tubes that can be brought into school. It would contain mustard, and ketchup, and honey. And we fill them with tempera paint so that it'll assist us in getting the paint out to all of you as we work. I'd like to show you how we also carry that around. I have a pop container, and I've got all the different tubes of different colors that I use as I have the monitors help me. All right? Let's set that aside for now. And nice picture. I'll put you back in our art treasure chest and keep you there for now. Because this is a blow painting lesson, you guessed it. He blew the paint. This is a blow painting lesson. We're going to be using two kinds of straws to blow possibly, but the paint has to be thinned down. So if you're blowing the paint on your piece of paper and the paint doesn't want to flow, two things might be the difficulty. This paint might be too thick, so we have to add some water to it and shake it up good. The other thing is maybe the straw is the wrong size. I'll point these out to you. This is a paper straw, and it's thinner. It's a little longer, and when you blow, you get more pressure with it. So people who don't have a real strong breath, use that one. You strong boys or girls who have good breath, you can use this plastic straw. It has a bigger hole. Either one will work, though, if you push real hard. And I know that once in a while, when I do it, I get a little dizzy because of the... Think about the wolf and you huffing and puffing to blow the house down. That'll work. I'm bringing... Yes, I have my black construction paper. I'm going to use this because my white paint will show up real nice on here. Now, off comes my little cap. All right, it's nice and loose. I'll put the paint on. As I do, not too many lines, but here we go. Don't worry about dots that fall on the paper like that. No problem at all. And now, come on, Mr. Straw, work for me. This is going to be a happy accident type of picture in some ways for all you folks, but also you have control as to which way you want the little lines to go. Watch as I do this. Whee! Boy, I love that. Don't be afraid to turn your paper around in another direction if you'd like to have the, paint running a different way. Are you enjoying that? Me too. Don't get too close to the edge of your paper. Keep your blow painting right on your paper. Here's one spot at the top. If I may blow it, it may run off, so there we go. One other thing that you must watch is not to get your straw right down into the paint, because if you do, it'll create a bubble and splash, and then you may have lost the effect you want. Good. Lay that aside. Now bring over some paint I have in my pans and some water. Now, I'm going to use a dry brush. A dry brush is a stiff bristle brush. Now, even though I use this, any brush that you have in school that you may be using will be perfectly okay. Use any technique with it. Sometimes you may use a sponge. I've had even folks take up crinkled paper and use it. But this dry brush will help me as they do my painting. Again, I'll take the tube and I'm going to squeeze out some little dots of paint on my paper. Good. Good. Now, I'll stop for just a second and say to you that if you don't have the tubes, because once in a while maybe your school does not have the tubes of paint, a little brush will do the same thing. I'll go and I'll just take my brush here and get it down into the paint and put some dots there where I want them to be. And here we go. With my stiff bristle brush, I'm going to use a technique now called stippling. It's a situation where I take the brush and just bounce it up and down like this, and it'll create a kind of a fuzzy center. Here we go. Turn the brush in your fingers. Boy, that's lovely. Can you see how nice that looks? Different brushes do different kinds of jobs, and that's what we do. I like that. Now what I'll do with that, let me set this aside for a moment. I found while I was going along that the white added to that kind of, made my picture a little nicer. Someone's asking out there, what if you add a second color? Can you do that? Well, let's try that. I'm going to use the newspaper I have as my palette. And a palette is a word meaning a place to put your paint and mix it. So I'll take some of my white, put it on the paper. I did not wash the orange out. You don't have to do that. We'll have a new kind of mixture of paint. And a little bit of blue. Good. Work up the type of color you want. Watch this stroke as I do it now. This is a kind of a sweeping stroke with my dry brush. Start on the outside and aim toward the middle. Beautiful. Hey, do I like that? Made the flower bigger. It gives me these beautiful dry brush lines. Dry brush, in this sense, means it always looks as if you're running out of paint. Good. Sweep. You notice how I have a little white more on one side, and I get a little different color. Let me try that one more time. I'll put a little more white on one side of my stroke. I hear someone asking out in class, can the flowers look different by stippling? Yes, let me take this one flower in here. I'll stay with the same color, and I'll just bounce my brush up and down this way. Yes, that works fine. See, it looks different than that one. And let's see, I'll get that so you can see real well. There we go. Leave some separations in between. That one looks like it just bent right over, right? Boy, you're going to love doing this. I love doing it. I really do. What one thing might I be doing? I'm not going to say wrong. I'm doing this as a demonstration to you. Yes, if these are flowers and this is the same plant, then all the flowers growing in that plant ought to look alike. So you shouldn't be switching to a different type of style for a flower, all right? If you have two different branches, one branch could have one type of flower on it, and the other branch could have the other, all right? Very good. And one other thing I'll do is I'll take a little bit of color on the side, and I'll pat it down like this to give it kind of a base. Don't worry that it's not green. We are imaginative artists, and we are creating a very beautiful picture. We're helping nature out a little bit. Isn't that nice? I like that a lot, and you're going to have fun doing that. Let me set this aside, and we'll get another piece of paper. You could let your picture dry. When it's perfectly dry, use the other side of the paper to do a second picture, then you'll be able to carry two of them home. Let's take now, once again, I'll put the paint on the paper. Don't squeeze it too much, just set it down there, let her go. And it's thin enough. I'm going to use the thick straw. All right, so see how I can blow with that. Hey, that works okay for me. Wow. I so like that. Ooh. Beautiful lines, just going off in different directions. I just love the way that looks. Oh, someone's telling me back there what this ought to be. You think? Yes, under the water, under the ocean. All right. What I'll do this time then is I'll use my brush that's the pointed brush, free brush, and if it's underwater, there's got to be some fish down there. So let me get into some orange. I'm loading the brush up. I'll get this little cup out of the way here for a second so you can see my little palette. This helps us clean up when we're all done. And a little bit of white across the bottom on one side. Here we go. Little fish swimming around. Here's one back here, and he comes out the other side. That's an overlap. Blue fish. Yeah, they're coming in from the other direction. Beautiful. Add a little white to that. Ooh, isn't that exciting? While I've got the blue, let me just take and give him some fancy fins up on top. Needs a little white to make it show up. Don't be afraid to really dip down into your paint as you go along and have the colors mix up in your brush. Ooh, fancy tail. Gorgeous. Look at that. Get the eyes on my fish. Put that on with white. Yep. And little white tails. These are white-tail fish. Gorgeous. What else can we have in there? Well, I'll just take and wipe my brush off along the bottom with all the extra paint I have. Kind of looks like we've got the bottom of the ocean. And down here would be, watch this. Pull up on the point, round, round, round. Ah, pretty little snail. Yeah. Okay. How do you like this one? You know you're going to love it. I can hardly wait when teachers ask me, do that blow painting lesson again. And I said, surely I'll do it. I can mix up some greens yet and go back with a little bit of green somewhere, right across the fish. You're going to turn out one of the most beautiful paintings you've ever seen. You're going to have tons of fun doing this. So long, we'll see what's in the art chest next time. We're going to be a great artist, aren't we? Okay.
Place where learning is fun.
Hi there, and real happy to have you back again. We have a special lesson today. My golly, what is this? Is it something to wear? Mustache? Beard? What are we going to do with string? Must there be something else? Oh, I see another piece of string in here. Oh, I know. There's a loop at the end. That means we're going to do string painting. And you're really going to enjoy this lesson. And I will want you to pair yourselves off in groups of 3, because 3 of you are going to paint your pictures together. And because I'm here alone, I need some helpers too. So if you'll permit me, I'd like to bring in a couple of helpers, Mary and Joe. Please, Mary and Joe, join me. This is Mary and this is Joe. I understand you like art, right? Very good. And you do too? All right. We're going to be painting a real beautiful picture, and you really have to help me. And all you boys and girls in school, watch carefully, because we'll go through all the steps that you should follow as we do this too. The newspaper, of course, is to cover our desk so we don't get paint on our desk. And let me first of all fold this piece of paper in half. Watch the way I do this. I get those edges even. Then I don't lift up on one end. But what I do is I just come down with my hand and sort of crush it like that. There we go. And we'll open up our painting. Now, what do you think we're going to do? Well, I happen to have on the side some white paint and a couple of sponges and a brush. And Joe, you're going to go to work first of all. There's the brush. All right. Here we go. I'll take my string, and look, I'm raising it in my hand, and you should all do the same thing. Get it up in one hand, and I'm going to lower this down into the paint. And slowly I'll go around so that it'll turn. Now, Joe, as you see the paint going down in, you take your brush now and start to push it down so it gets into the paint. And by the way, boys and girls, the string that I'm using, I dampened ahead of time. I took it to the sink and got it wet so that when it gets onto the paint, it goes down much easier and soaks up the paint better. Doing a good job. That's the boy. You're going to take this lesson right back to the boys and girls in your class and show them how to do it. I even have some extra string for you to take back. Good. There, now scrape your brush off on the side of the cup, and then you can lay your brush down there on the side by the newspaper so we don't get our top of our desk dirty. All right. Mary, your job is to take the sponge now and hold it right above the pan so the paint won't drip anywhere else. That's it. Squeeze it together now. And I'm going to take and pull the string out. That's a girl. You're doing a good job. You're a toughie, too. You're squeezing that pretty good. Now, the string is long, so I keep grabbing it with my different hand as I go along here and keep pulling it out. That string is about 3.5 feet long. Oops, I need to grab some more. See all the extra paint coming off? We had to take that paint off. That's it. Now we put the sponges right on down, and I'll start to put the string onto the paper in different directions so you can twirl it. You notice too that the string has a little cord in it. Looks like it's made out of 2 or 3 strings together. And there we go. Now I have the string sticking out the bottom, and I'll fold this over. Notice too, I only put the string on one side. Mary, would you like to go around the front side of the desk there? And I'll turn this around, and I want you to hook your finger into that little loop and do it with your right hand like that. And Joel, I think we've got to hold this paper down while Mary pulls the string out. So let's lay our hands down on top. Are you ready to pull? It's going to make a lot of squeaky sounds, and you and I are going to get tickled because it tickles our hand. Okay, Mary, you start to pull it out. Hear it? That's a girl pulling nice and level. That's a girl. Pull some more. Back up a little bit further if you want to. That's it. Go back a little further. Here it comes to the very end. Joel, I'll leave you open that up and see what we have. Oh, look at that. See our string design? Looks like calla lilies, different kinds of flowers. Look. Looks, you know, one of the boys, thought of his girlfriend or his sister who danced and says, looks like a ballerina. Does it look like a ballerina to you? Yeah. All right, we'll set that aside because we'll come back and work on that. One more time, I'll fold the paper, and Joel, you're going to do the pulling this time. But notice I'm folding the paper in a different direction. And let's see, do I have a pair of scissors in that drawer there? There we go, good. This time, I'll cut along the border part and cut a little section off the center of the paper so that when I open it up, there's a little hole there. Can you see the little hole? All right. Now let's see. Mary, I think this time we'll give you the job. Here's the sponge. You take the brush. And let's get this up where the boys and girls can see. And as I put the string down, you start to press it down the way Joe did. All you take and turn your string as it goes down. If you try and bunch it up and push it down, when you pull it out, the string sometimes ties itself into a knot. That's a girl. Good, you're doing a dandy job, both of you. That's it, make sure that there's paint on all those sections of string. Got it, okay? There's another spot there. All right, scrape off your brush on the side so we have the extra part taken off. Very good. There. And now, Joel, if you do the same thing Mary did, put your sponge on both sides of the string right above the cup. And I'll start to raise it up. And we'll get all that extra paint coming off. If we were to do, not wipe it off, we'd have all that extra paint that would be on the string we would put on our paper, we wouldn't get those real pretty designs. Good. There. Here we go. I'll start to put the string down on the paper. There's all kinds of designs, and boys and girls who do this lesson, what they'll do is get different pictures. Sometimes it looks like bugs or faces. See that hole in the center? Joel, why don't you go around behind me now and get it in the same position where Mary was. We pull that little loop of string through. Mary, you've got to help me let's put our hands on the paper, reach and find all the string. Remember, Joel, now as you pull the string out, to watch the border of the paper where it's cut here. If the string is coming from this direction, you pull that way. If it comes from this direction, you pull that way. That's a boy. Okay. Holding down real tight. That's a girl. Very good. Joel, come right around back this way. All right. Well, let's see. I think Joel opened up the picture last time. Mary, how about you this time? We'd like to open that up and show the boys and girls what we've got. Look at that. Ooh. Look at it. What do you think we've got?
Butterfly.
A butterfly? Yeah. The wings over there. Looks, boy, I almost get kind of a monster, like a big fly coming at me over here, and he's gonna bite there. I tell you now, what else do you think I could do with this picture? Is there something else I could do? Joe, I'll reach down and I'll show you. We had a lesson called fold painting, and so I'll take, and with a little bit of blue, I'll put some blue paint there. This is in a squeeze bottle. I could also do it with my brush, but I'll take it with this paint. Those will probably mix up a little bit. And I'll fold it over. See, I think I'll put a little more white there too. So you can take the brush. What do you think is going to happen when I fold it over? Will it get good or bad?
Good.
Oh, you're so nice to me. All right. We fold it over, and since I happen to have a hole in my paper here, instead of me squeezing it this way, the paint will come scooting out, like toothpaste. So I'll just press here, and we'll open it up. Since you said it looked like a, look at that. See how that made the body, and there it looks like a little antenna up on top? Sometimes someone said, I'd like to put a little more of an antenna. If you have your brush and you wish to go ahead and add something, you can go ahead and add something. Leave it nice and wet, then quickly take it and fold it over again, press on it, and then we've added an extra little antenna. Now what we have to do beside this, we can cut this out later on, but I'll reach across here, Mary. You stay right with me, and I've got a lot of crayons that have the paper removed. Now sometimes you have to press real heavy on this to make it show up, but because this is white, if I press real heavy with the side of my crayon on black paper, maybe it wouldn't show up too good, but because there is, there we go, but because there is white paper there, or white paint, it shows real good. Mary, why don't you try that spot? Want to do that? John, let's see. Can you reach in there a little bit and try a little bit? See if, right with the, try it with the side of the crayon. Lay your crayon right down the side. Here, I'll show you like this over here. Push right down flat and press on it that way. See if you can get the color to show up. That's a way. Good. Mary, that's fine. See, I've got these two on each side, and that repeats itself. That's called symmetry. A butterfly has symmetry to it. Jowl, good. I'll turn this around, and we'll repeat the yellow over there. And you can choose most any colors you think you would like. I don't want to go back over the wet spot because that, right now, would smear, right, if I went over it. That's way. Dandy. Now really, sometimes what we do in school too is once in a while the boys and girls drop some extra paint on the paper. And when that happens, that you have it over here and you say, oh, that's rather disturbing and I don't like it that way, then you take your scissors and very carefully cut your design out and mount it on another piece of paper. Then you can get rid of the little extra dots that you have there. I found one boy, he had 3 or 4 dots on his paper. They didn't like, so but he just took his paintbrush and made a whole bunch of dots and looked like the bug was flying through some little tiny bugs. So that's the way that would look, and isn't that pretty? Same thing now, of course, would be if we were to take our calla lilies or any design, we'd go the same way now and add beautiful color to that. See how the blue's coming up? And for all of you in school, what you need to do beside this is if you're not pressing, oops, that was a black one. I thought I grabbed the blue. If you were going to do this and you couldn't press down heavy enough, the best way to do this is to stand up. And so you can press down real good and heavy. Now, how do you like that lesson?
Like it.
You like it? I want you to go back to your school and you talk to your teacher and you say, I know how to do this lesson. I'll give you some extra string. Look up there at the camera with me, and I want you to say goodbye to all the boys and girls out there with me.
Bye.
So let's kind of wave over here. Remember, this is a real good lesson. It's called string painting, and you get the corded string, your flat crayons, and you're going to have a lot of fun. Mary and Jowl, so happy to have you with me. Hi there, and welcome back again. Let's have a look what's in our art chest today. Something special, I bet. Yes, look at this now. Piece of paper, plain on both sides, and if I turn it, you can see, probably from the way the light may shine on it, that it's shiny on both sides. It's a special paper that's been prepared for finger painting. Right, let's have a look again. Well, some tempera paint and some, that's a starch, a liquid starch. We'll paint with that. And these two together will make us a finger paint that we can use today, but I want you to also see that there is a prepared finger paint that you can buy. Several companies have it. And the mixture is already done, the tempera paint and the starch arrangement, so that you can paint with this. Now this is all prepared, so I won't use this today. I want to use the one that is just out of the homemade materials, because you can do this at home during a recess time. All right, I need some water and sponges. I'll bring those up. And let's bring over some newspaper that we'll do our painting on. Yes, you're going to use the newspaper on your desk too. It's a way to keep your desk clean. You're going to make your teacher and your custodian very happy if you do this properly. Now, of course, if I'd start to do some finger painting here, I want you to see something that does happen. This starts to slip around, and when you start to work around, that wouldn't be too good. So we've got to, first of all, wet our newspaper a little bit so it won't slip. I've got some water that's in a bottle here and got the top open. So what I'll do is just put some water on my top. Oops. If you should do this and your desk is slanty, you know, prop it up a little bit so that it won't run down into your lap. Right. Now I set it right down on top, and it soaks up the water. Can you see it getting quite dark now as it does that? But because paper is made out of wood, it's soaking up the water and stretching. So I need to put some more water along the edges. You can see they stand up because they haven't stretched yet. I could use a sponge. Get that down there. And before you start to do any of your painting, look how that, see how that edge stands right up there because it's dry. The other paper is wet, and so let's get it down there. Now you see it doesn't want to move, and yet it's protecting your desk. Something else I'm doing right now is raising the paper every once in a while to take any wrinkles out, because when I start to finger paint, if I've got wrinkles in there, I've got a problem. I think that's stretched out pretty well. And now this paper. If in your school you have a piece of paper that looks dull on one side and shiny on the other, make sure the shiny side is up. Another way you can tell a lot of times is the paper is more curvy on the shiny side, curves out. Well, we'll set it down, and, oh, can you see what's happening here? As soon as I put it on, see it moving? There's a science lesson for you, too. The other side is absorbing the water and stretching. This side is dry, and it's curling over like that. So I've got to get this wet, too. Okay, either with the bottle or the sponge. Go onto your paper. There we go. If you have too much water, you've got your sponge, which you can just squeeze out and pick any extra water up that you have on your paper. But look at all the wrinkles. Certainly that would not be a good thing to have when you're doing your finger paint. So raise up your sections and pull the paper and stretch it out. You may have to do this for several minutes before you get your painting materials on your paper, because I do want you to have those wrinkles right out of there. You go along, it hits those little bumps, and then it'll show on your drawing. I just about have it now. Ready to go. Now we'll add the starch, and this comes it comes out of another bottle, but I put it in a little squeeze bottle like this, and you monitors, you can go around the classroom while the people are preparing their paper, then squeeze on, and you watch how much I'm putting on my paper now. Oh, it's kind of like a tablespoonful or so. And then start to spread it around. You'll see it'll feel real slippery. That is what we call the base of our paint. Yes, some people paint with watercolor. That water is the base. They paint with oil paint. Oil is the base. Acrylic is a base. Shellac has alcohol as a base. Those are things you'll learn as you go along and work with art. There, I think I've, whoops, one more wrinkle. You want to get those out. And let's get our paint now. Watch what we'll go and do. Here we go. Look at it moving around. Starting to spread. Ooh. Don't be afraid to go off your paper. You take your painting, and we want the whole paper covered, so don't stop at the edge. Go right to your newspaper, because we don't mind that at all. Then you want to get this nice and even, and then look to see whether there's any bumps yet left in your paper. If there are any, just lift up the corner a little bit, pull on them a little bit, and you'll get your wrinkles out. Good. Now I've got two hands, painting with one and keeping the other one clean, because once in a while I may have a little itch on my nose, and I don't want to do it with this one. Here we go. Watch the designs I'll start to work with. Nice background. You can go with your fingernail, but go away from you. Don't come toward you, because you'll tear into the paper. Go away. And then you can also use a finger for a thickness like that, the side of your thumb, and last of all, this part, the flat of your hand. Look how nice that looks. See all those strokes, how they come on the paper? Good. See, that's the way it's going to be. Now, what other kinds of designs can I work? Notice over here, two things. Each time I practice on the paper, and I haven't done my picture yet, I just wipe it away by just moving my hand back and forth like magic. It disappears. Real good. The other thing, this is called reverse painting. We put all the paint on the paper, and by wiping it away, we get our picture. Now let's have a look at some designs. I'll take, and let's group my fingers together like this, and press on the paper. Looks like tire tracks, huh? Okay. Let me use my hand flat. Go back and forth and start to saw. Boy, you're using big arm muscles that way. And if I did nothing else with this paper right now, what do you think it could be used for? Surely a table mat, some wrapping paper, just beautiful things like that. Look at that nice design. See, you can't get that just by drawing with a crayon. Finger paint has a very special kind of effect to it. Again, wipe out the background, put my hand flat this way. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Boy, you can really create all kinds of designs and pictures with that. If you're going along in your painting and you find that your paper is getting a little dry, not a lot now, what you need to do is just squeeze a drop or two of water on your paper and add it to it, and we're ready to go again. Sometimes, if you've been going to the edge of your paper, you've wiped a lot of starch off on the side, you can ask the teacher with or your monitor, please put a little more starch on the paper, and she'll come through and give you a couple more bits of starch, and that'll help it. And someone says, I need just a little bit more color. Yep, there we go. So all those things can happen, and the monitors in class can just run around and help you, all the people who are doing their painting. Watch now as I start to do a picture, like this one. The design of something with a fancy tail. See, I didn't move my paper, I just moved my hands. Went around. Aha. And if this happens to be a turkey or something like that, I can take my fingers and go like this to make all the feathers. Oh, and that's a turkey, so I'll get him a gobbler. And he has some wings down here. And some feet. You notice now I use fingers, hand, side of my hand. So instead of just calling this finger painting, what I want you to do is call it hand painting as well. All right. What can I do? You say don't do it? I know, every time I demonstrate this in school, somebody says, oh, you know, don't take that picture away. Yeah. I want to show you some other things yet that may go along. Watch this one now as I swing it back and forth and go round and round. All of you can do this. You really can. You practice different ones. How many have I done so far? 7, 8, 9 different techniques as far as my strokes are concerned. One thing I also like, look, as I go along, it looks like one goes behind the other one as we have it. Yeah, that gives us a kind of an overlapping that, you can't get any other way. A little later on in older grades, you can go ahead and do different kinds of colors. Now, is there one that you saw that you liked real well? Let's try one here. Get some from the side. And let's see, down at the bottom of the ocean, here's some fancy coral. Isn't that kind of nice? And possibly the fish could be swimming between some seaweed. And look at how the water's moving in the background. I use that with the side of my hand, fingernail, side of my hand here, fingers here, all those different techniques for doing this. Here we go now. I'm going to pick my picture up, take the corners and raise it, and flip it over onto a dry paper like that and just leave it dry. You take this hand, wipe it on your newspaper, and then slowly pull the corners toward you like this. I don't have very much paint on my desk, do I? Take this wet, wipe off any paint I find there. You're going to be extremely popular with your teacher and your custodian if you do that. Then you can even use the wet paper here to clean your hands like this. Now, if you should have your design done and you say, oh, it didn't turn out too well, what could you possibly do? Just imagine this. You've got all kind of finger designs on it. Sure, turn it over, wait till it dries, turn it over, and draw something. Draw a girl's dress, draw a hat, draw mittens, anything you may want to do, then cut it out, and you have a real nice picture with that. You really do. So finger painting is a lot of fun, whether you use the homemade finger paint or you use the commercial paint that I had here. Look how nice and clean. Just got to clean up my hands, and I love to do it. You can do greeting cards, wrapping paper, and all kind of things. Hey, I'm going to see you again next time, and we'll see what's in the art chest, and we'll do another lesson then, all right? So long for now. Hi, let's have a look what's in our art chest. Something special. Aha, it's a letter for Billy Jones. Billy Jones out there, I've got a letter for you. If I only knew your address, I'd put the proper mailing address and mail it to you. Well, now tell me, do you happen to know how mail travels if you were to write a letter to Grandma or Grandpa, or you were on vacation, someone wrote to you? Yes, the mailman brings it to your house. Also the railroad car, truck. I've got something else in the art chest that'll show you. All right. We've got a mail car made out of a piece of construction paper, and there's an open spot on the inside like this. And that's just about, oh, there's Billy Jones's name right on it. And Billy, if this were at your place right now, you could take this and hook it right in front of your desk. And if I were mailing you the letter, it would come to your school, and there you'd go, right there. And it would remain there until class time when you would go to your mailbox and take it out and see who's writing to you. Well, that's what we're going to be doing today. Only instead of making the railroad car, which is a really easy way to do it, let's make it by another technique. We're going to make a mail truck, all right? You all have pieces of paper at your desk right now. The teacher's gotten ready for you, and if you don't, we'll get it passed out. She knows the right size, and so the monitors get ready. You can pass this out. I'm going to use a yellow and green color, but it's going to be the cab color of the truck and also the part that carries the mail. So watch me now as I go along, and you've got your paper. Those of you who have it, work right along with me now. Those of you later on, watch the lesson, and you'll do it after we're all finished. Very good? Going to take our paper. Here we go. Hold the two tops nice and even. By the way, if you want to get into that mail truck, sometimes it's a little easier for some of you to pull the line down a little bit. I'm not so sure you can see it exactly, but leave the front side a little bit lower than the back side. Here we go. Come right down and crush the paper, and that'll give us the envelope part of our truck. So we'll get that in. Now, I know that one other thing is going to occur, that when you start to use this mailbox many times in class, by going back and forth inside, this might tear. So I'm going to do one more thing. All of you will have a piece of masking tape like this. Teacher will give you some, and we'll send the monitors around with some. Make it a little longer, pull it out, and tear it off, or you can use your scissors to cut. Let's see if I can set that right down without sticking my fingers. Maybe somebody could help you in class. The two of you can work together on this. Put your paper on top of your masking tape about halfway, lay it there, press, then take the extra paper and bring it down, or the masking tape like this. Good. Now when we have it, you keep going inside. This will be strong and it won't tear for us. Good. Trim them off. And of course, I don't want the mail to come falling out the side, do I? No. What we'll do, take your glue or paste, oh, yes. If you had enough masking tape, I hear one of you saying that, why don't you put masking tape on each side? Well, that could work too. But notice I've put my glue on a little bit away from the edge, so I don't have it right, you know, because when I press down on it, it'll squeeze it out. So there. This is the part of my truck that will carry the mail. You've seen different trucks going by, mail truck, right? Now that part could be drying here a little bit while I start to work on my cab. Now, watch as I do this. I want you all to stop and watch me very carefully. The bottom of the truck is a large beam or frame that holds the truck up. Then we have our cab and motor. So I'll slide this down, leave some of this showing, and decide how big a cab you want, how big a motor you want. So you can bring this out as far as you like. You don't have to glue that down yet. Now I'll take my chalk down and over for the motor. If you've got a radiator cap on there, something fancy, you can put that there. And I need a window for the truck driver to look out the sideway. He can look out front. Good. And so I can know where I put that. I'll just put a little mark there now as I take this away. Let me cut this out. I want to show you especially how to get through the window. Some boys and girls sometimes take their scissors, and they put their hand here underneath and push, and you may injure your hand, right? Watch the way I do this. Put your scissor point down, and then just take the paper and lift up on it. And it'll tear a hole in there. Then you take your scissors and cut it out. Good idea. Thank you. I got a compliment. That's the way. And we'll get the window cut out. I won't take the time today to do a person, but sometime you may have a lesson in pipe cleaner figures, or you may want to draw a man back there, and you just paste him in there later on. It'll work. Big truck coming down the road. Here's a sun visor. I added that. Oh yes, I know. You can go back and do a lot of other things on here. Bumpers, headlights, all those things will work. Now, as I put this truck here, I'll lay it back in the same spot. My chalk marks, well, there's all kind of ways we get that off. If you want to rub it with your fingers, a little eraser, you could have turned it over. If I turned it over and did it this way, then I had my tape in the wrong spot, so I won't do that. You'll find these things out as you're making the lesson. But now I do want to take and hook that down. So the glued part for my cab is all this part back here. So let me just take the glue and then zigzag it back and forth. By having extra glue on here and a big piece of paper back there, it just makes the whole thing a lot more solid. There we go. And I've got my truck right there. How's it going so far? Okay. Now we need some wheels, right? And how big should the wheels be? Well, you take some black paper, whatever color wheels you think you want, look at your truck, and if you, we need to have a couple of them, right? Then fold your piece of paper in half. You can make 2 wheels at one time. Yes, I'm going to let you do this. Sometimes they say try and cut it out freehand, but really I'm going to, because wheels are really nice and round for a truck. You've got to make it so that he doesn't bump down the road. So you take and carefully draw that. Might be a time too for some of you to learn how to, if you want to trace. You can use the top of your paste jar or something to get a perfectly round wheel. That'll teach you how to trace, but let's see if you can do it like I just did it. Draw as perfect a circle as you can. And go right around. Notice again, turning the paper and holding your scissors in one position. Good. You know how to do that, all right? Sure. Then there's a wheel there, a wheel back there. I'll put this little down here to show up a little better. Right. And you need some hubcaps. Well, I just showed you the one way. I've already got a couple hubcaps drawn, so little paste, and a little paste in the middle. Our mailmen are very special people because all the business in this country and all the happiness in the world sometimes is carried by the mail. Once in a while, even bad news. Now, that comes along with it, too. But here we go. Little paste now, there. And don't put it all the way down the bottom. Halfway is just fine. And this wheel could even go up underneath the truck part a little bit. There we go. Now, what I like to do is work on some other parts, and this work you could work on with your crayons if you like, or magic markers. I'll come right along the front here and put this on, cross-hatch it. Cross-hatching is a kind of a design statement that makes this look more like a radiator. Right. How about the, oh, all right, I'll continue the fender going all the way around like this and come down, and there's a step here, yes, where the truck driver gets into his truck. Very good. Door, bring it down to the fender and kind of go right around. And although I may not take all the time to do all the parts, you certainly can do other things to it. You can put your handle here, you can put that on with different colors. You could go ahead and add more to the roof, like this. And And now, on the truck, let's see, whose trucking company should this be? Let's make up a nice name. Okay, I heard someone say a real nice one. All right, here I go. You try and guess as I'm going along. You're guessing, are you? Happiness Mail Company. Mail carriers. Teacher will put some titles on the board if you don't know how to spell the words. But I just did this kind of freehand. If you have any difficulty with your spelling or planning, please take more time to take your chalk and draw on here real light with a chalk line so that you know that that's where you want the words to go. You try it out, because once you've put your lettering on, you can't go around and change it as easily, can you? No. Happiness. Happiness Mail Company. And this might be the company of California, Ohio. You can put down numbers. A lot of trucks like this have numbers on. I'm going to put 1, 6, 4, 3, 5, B. Means nothing more than possibly the license or the permit to carry mail by this company. See that? And now that has probably stuck, and I'm going to just pick it up and turn it toward you. And this will go in front of your desk, and it can be hooked there on the front, or a teacher may decide along with you that you'd like to put them all the way around the room. I really like this lesson because you two, all the boys and girls in class can go ahead and exchange mail, and you write yourself a letter, and write your buddy a letter, and come up to his desk and put this in. You could sell stamps, design stamps, and decide on another way to do it. You can go ahead with the Billy Jones mail car and make it with a great big sheet of paper. Get an idea how to do that? Why, sure. I know you're going to have a great deal of fun doing this, and if I were to follow through, I'd say let's have a stamp designing lesson too, because there's commemorative stamps that come out that are real special to save too. So long, Billy Jones and Mary Martin and all you nice people out there. We'll see you next time. We'll see what's in our chest. Hi there. Let's have a look what's in our art chest today. Ah, yes, something you've used before. Yes, it's colored chalk. But just about now, what a lot of you are saying with your colored chalk, it's broken and it's dirty. Teachers ask you to go to the art room and clean the room out, and you might say, I think probably these ought to be thrown away. Oh, no, you don't. No. What can you do with old chalk like this? Well, you can powder it and use it as a powder by mashing it down. But today we're going to use it in a special way called wet chalk. We won't wet our chalk itself. We're going to wet our paper. So you watch me as we do this lesson today, and then after that we're all done, you'll get all your ideas, choose your subject matter, and we'll go from there. One thing, of course, you need on your desk is some newspaper that will go to cover up the area in case our water runs off, and a nice piece of paper that you wish to use, picking out a color. Maybe today, after you see me what I'm working on, you'll choose a color of your choice. A lot of times the color should be chosen according to what subject matter you're using. All right. Now, I need to wet the paper. So you may use, at your desk, a sponge and a cup of water, much like I have here. Or teacher, or you may have a monitor in class who will come around with like a bottle of water and squeeze some water on the paper for you. So that's what I'm going to do for now. I'll keep the sponge and water handy to pick up extra water that I may have. Here we go. Oh, I better caution you on this. If your desktop is slanty, and we get this water, it may roll down into your lap. So if you've got a desk that you can kind of tip up a little bit, or hold your paper up a little bit as the water goes on so it doesn't roll into your lap. Don't want that to happen. All right. Put the water on. Or the monitor will do it for you. Or, you see, I can go along, get some sponge and squeeze the water on. Then take your hand, much like you do at a finger painting, and spread it all over. Don't be afraid to go right to the newspaper. We need to take a few moments for this construction paper that we're using to soak up that water, because the other side is still dry. And right now you can see that the paper wants to curl a little bit, because this side is soaking up the water and swelling. So I have to wait just a little while for that to soak on down. Yes, if you have too much water on paper, what should you do? Well, you've got that sponge. You just squeeze the sponge dry, go along and pick up extra water. Same thing is true while you're doing your picture. If you've got a lack of water, just go back and dip down and get some more. I'm curling the paper so my edges lay flat. I'm all set to go to work. So watch as I do this, because with wet chalk now, I'm going to just do some real beautiful free designing using the point and the side as I get started. Okay. You'll find that you can blend, putting one color alongside the other. Here we'll put a, look at that. Pretty. And you see it's getting wet, and really what it's doing, it's turning into like a paste. It's actually like a real paint now. Anybody get an idea what I might be doing? Yes. I'll put a bill on there. All right. Coming down the back, coming across the tummy part. Real pretty. Now, let me take my chalk and set it on the side. And take my finger, and I could blend this. Bring it out into my bird. See how it's going a little bit? What do I have back in here? Yes, that's why I stopped at this spot, because I think I'll put a bird's wing on here and have it come right out like this. Design it, yes? Let's go. I'll leave some spaces as I move along. So I got to add another color in there. You see those two kind of touched together as I went along, and they kind of blended together there too. I could, if I want to, coming from my bird's head, come down and start to give it some feather marks like this. Now we've got a real pretty tail coming up. Now I've got pink paper, and I've got a pink piece of chalk, and it shows up. But one thing may happen as you go along on this lesson. You'll find that possibly a color that shows up while it's wet may not be the color when it's dry. That'll be a little bit of a surprise for you a little later on when you see it. So if that's true, what you can do is just go along and outline something with a darker color. See, I have a little bright color in there. Maybe it's hard for you to see. So go back and put another color around it. So we fancy up the tail. Now, what will your bird design be? Or are you going to be doing a fish or a peacock? That'll be choices that you may want to make. Okay, I think I like to get that eye a little darker. So you see I go back over here with a dark, I could put it right down on top. Here now I see, and you can look a little bit too, my paper is starting to get a little drier. So I go down into the the water and just add some more so that that doesn't dry while I'm doing the next spot. Pretty. Can't see that, maybe? What did I say before we could do? Go back with another color and add it right alongside anytime you think a color may not show up for you. And his leg. His leg comes down this way and goes forward. Now put two, make him look like he's holding onto a branch. Good. And we'll find our brown or green. Ooh, I have a spot back here. Look at this spot of the paper that's really, really dry. So, once again, if I'm going to put some wet chalk there, wet that. Now let me just go along and you watch me as I work. Underneath the feet. Up behind the bird. That's a hill way down, way in the background of our picture. And some spring leaves. My chalk is getting wet as I put this on, and it's sort of softening up and acting like a water paint. And to get the effects I want. Oh, somebody asked if I should use black. All right, let me just do that a little bit for you and see what you think. Ah, see how it shows up? So you can go back and put some extra designs. That's it. All right. Pretty. All right, I can put some houses down here and just go ahead and keep working on different parts of the bird until I think I'm done. One thing you must all remember to do, however, what is that? Stop when you think you're done. All of us, even I, sometimes work too long on a picture and put too many things in, and I kind of spoil my emphasis. The bird was the important thing in the picture, right? So don't go putting more and more things in the picture. Let me try another color here for a second. I'll get my paper, because wet chalk does one very special thing with the nighttime. So I take black paper, and again, bring it all the way around so it soaks it up. If you have too much water, remember what you do, pick it up. But I do want that to soak right down inside there and get all those. You can help it a little bit, press on it a little bit, and curl the paper. Thinking of a night scene? What would you see at night? Fireworks. Great. Scary picture? On Halloween time? Tell you, one thing, I'm going to paint a picture I like, all right? You paint a picture you like. Thing I like to see is cities at night with all the lights on. So watch me now as I go along in my picture and start to do a city. The lights are coming on. There's some lights down along the road here. And there's a boat out in the harbor. Now my white may not show up real well while it's wet, but it will when it dries. But there's a boat back there. And possibly now, because I like to see these in the city too, great big bridge and a small bridge farther away, the part that holds the bridge. Here we come with the Don't be afraid to mark right across your city should you do a picture like this. Yes, and of course, a bridge like that would have lights on too. So you go ahead and... And something's going by up there with its lights on. And let's see. Your chalk now will be getting soft, and it might be breaking in your hand, but you just go ahead and use it. I better put some cross members on this bridge up here, make it stronger. Maybe a little thicker too. If I've got a spot that's too dry, go back with your sponge and just dab it. Get that. There's some lights to warn against airplanes that come by. All right, boys and girls, use your chalk on a wet chalk lesson like this. Wet your paper carefully, let it soak it up, and just go ahead and use all of the chalk. Don't throw any of that away. No, sir, that makes a beautiful painting medium. And we'll come back next time, and we'll see what's in our art chest. And again, have a lot of fun doing pictures. We'll see you again next time. So happy to see you back here again. Let's have a look what's in our art chest today, what we'll be working with. Well, I see a roll of paper. And it's blank, it doesn't have anything on it. Maybe we're going to be drawing something, right? And some crayons. Good. Oh dear, I'll have to stand up for this one. I can see that. That's too... Oh, there it goes. What was that? Were you using your imagination? I was. What'd you see? Well, maybe it was Jell-O. It was much heavier than that, and then it started to melt and run away. That's your imagination at work. And I hope you were using yours, and I was using mine. And the wonderful thing about imagination, it keeps getting better and better the more you use it. Really does. So that's what we're going to be doing on our lesson today. Now just think, too, of all the things that people have created around this earth. Rockets that go to the moon, and wonderful stories that you boys and girls read in school, wonderful music and art that we find. Yes, even the television set that you're looking at now. Someone imagined that, and it all began with that imagination, and it became possible as a person worked on it and made it a reality. So I hope that you boys and girls will develop and work on your imagination, all right? There too, reminds me of boys and girls in school that I talk to. They say that sometimes they have an imaginary friend. Sometime when you're alone and you're working on a project, you seem to talk over your success as you're working along. And it's real nice to have an imaginary friend sometimes because then you're never lonely, right? So let's work on our imagination today, and we're going to start with a technique of scribble art. Now in scribble art, we take a crayon, and you may have done this sometime, but let's work along together. No, you won't be working with me. You watch me here first of all. You'll do this after I'm done. I'll take a lighter color crayon and scribble, and as you start to do the scribbling, one thing I'd like you to keep in mind, don't over scribble so you have too many lines, then you can't find any objects there. So watch as I go to work. All right. There I go. See, I'll end this line up here. Now you have to help me. I've scribbled, and you see there are not too many lines there, but I want you to look at the picture and see what you can see. I'll turn it around. A lot of times when you do this in class with your boyfriends and girlfriends who sit near you, do the same thing if you can't see something for the moment. Two things are happening right now. Yes, you're trying to see something in the objects on the piece of paper, and if you're not thinking that way, you're thinking of an object, and then you're trying to take and put the object into one of these shapes. Who's helping me? Am I lost? Do I find something that I like? All right here. I'll take this subject right here. This looks like his nose, so I think I'll put a nostril there, and I'll put a fellow's eye here. There's his nose. This must be his hair sticking up here. Golly, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. Have you? Look what I'm doing now. I'm adding lines to it if I want to. This looks like a lower jaw, right? Let's see. I think I'll take and put some teeth there. And some teeth coming down from the top. Now, I know if you started to draw a picture without having any scribble lines at all, you probably would not have drawn this picture at all. Really not. Let's have a look and you see anything else. Oh, you see something here? Okay. Somebody said they saw kind of a doggy there. And here's his ear hanging down. And let me just take and add his collar. Looks like we have a horn coming up that way, too. Well, now let me just take it and turn it one more time around. Oh, I just saw something else occur. Look, there's a face this way, too. See, there's a nose there, and then there was a nose this other way. Now, that's working with your imagination and doing it from scribble art. Now, that's one way you should start to do and get your imagination kind of going. What you can do a lot of times, too, is scribble on your paper and then give your paper to somebody else in the classroom, and you look at their paper. Good way to go. Another way, let's try this one. This is where we use ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, to get our different ideas going and see if we can find something there. Let's try I'll go with a light crayon again. An A. And I'll get a B in here. I think I'll have room for a C. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, if you see those, you can identify right away what they are because you write that way. But now I want you to see something else. Get your imagination going. Look at that. Look at that. Let's turn it, because sometimes, again, these things can be different in different positions, can become different things. Sure. All right. Are you talking to yourself? Are you letting your imagination go? Well, let me get into mine now. I see something here. See, I add my lines. All right. Come down, I'll put a foot on that. A foot over here. Better get his little mouth there and some whiskers. And I think I'll even add something else to it. I'll make him more 3D. I'll come down, add the tail, and a little foot, come back, and there's another foot back over there. See what I've come out of there? But I did hear somebody in class, I think it was Mike, I heard Mike saying that looked like a bird's bill. Yes, it did. And when you looked at it this way, can you still see my A? If I put two ears on top, that looked like, something with a pointy nose, like a mouse. Good. Okay, have you been looking at the B? Somebody with a tummy. Yeah. Well, I like bunnies too, because it begins with a B. Let's take and, someone said bunny. There we go. Ta-ta-ta. And his haunches, the part down here. Boy, now this bunny rabbit has been practicing some good posture exercises. I can see that because it's got a real straight back. just like that. And there we go with a paw. All right, now let's look at our C. We have two animals. Can we think of something else that's not an animal? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to not even think of it as being an object. I'm going to just go and add to it and just think of it as a beautiful shape. Here's something fits in here. Isn't that nice? This seems to be a real pretty cradle effect. Let me hook that together. That's imagination. And the more you do it, the better it gets. I'm excited. Let me try a couple more. Number 2. Oops, here we go with a 2. And let me try a 5. Yes, somebody sit out there, make some more faces. All right, you see a face there. All right, here we go. I'll go a darker crayon here. An ear, an eye. Say, now if you're going to be doing this, someone's going to say, are you a good cartoonist? Right? And this over here right now, ooh, I think I see something there. Come right across the top. Now these two fellows are at a ball game or something. They're yelling away. And there, looks like he's going to bite his ear. Don't do that. Well, those are things that we use for our imagination. Numbers and letters. And how else do you do it? Surely, when you look at the fire that's in a fireplace, or you go to the ocean, you watch the waves come rolling in, and you look at clouds going by, do you see? I've seen big dogs and alligators and all kinds of things up there in the clouds. That's using your imagination, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. Use it over and over again. Then one day you're going to get a terrific idea. Then you're going to imagine how it can be done. Then you're going to try real hard, a lot of experiments. You may fail a lot of times, but you're just trying. And one day then, it'll turn out to be something you really, really want. All right? Let me take now, I'll put all my papers together. There is a famous artist who does children's books by the name of Dr. Seuss. Now, Dr. Seuss thinks of all kinds of animals in different shapes and peoples. And what he does then, he starts to work this out on his paper. So as I start now with mine, I'm going to, instead of using scribbles or letters, numbers, I'm going to start to use my crayons and make something become a very, very imaginative animal. We'll name it when we're all done. So you watch me as I work. I really don't know for a moment what I'm doing. That sounds funny. But I'm starting with something on my paper. Yeah. I like broken crayons because I may want to use my crayons on the side. There's a real pretty blue color. I'll put some lines around it there. I think I'll go right to my crayon on the side. I have red. And if I take my crayon and let's try twisting it in some spots like this. Oh, let's see, I'll get that little darker so you can see better. Well, now I put a bow tie over there, but I'm putting bow ties all over him. All right, let's see. How many legs does he have? Well, his leg looks like a hammer. By golly, look at that. And at the end of the hammer is one of his toenails that looks like a nail. I think I'll change colors just because it's fun. On the side again. And I'll come down. I think what I'll do is I'll go right up over here this way and use a zigzaggy line because this animal is starting to turn out to look like a tool. Here's a saw. And here's the handle where the papa holds the saw. Would you like to do something like this? I love doing it because I'm using my imagination, making something that's in my head and it's appearing on my paper. And if this should appear in a children's book, and they would look at it and laugh and say, I want to try something like that. Wouldn't that be fun? And you try and do something on your own using that wonderful imagination. Who wants to name this? Well, let's see, the lumber cat, or the carpenter animal. All right, I'll get another leg back there. Yes, I heard you say give him some more legs. All right, this leg comes down here. They could be something else too, couldn't they? Screwdriver or something of that sort. Well, that's imagination, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. Now, you had a lot of fun thinking about it. I hope that all you boys and girls use your imagination, think of wonderful things. Someday you're going to be poets and musicians and everything like that. So long till next time, and we'll see what's in our art chest.
You're watching Kid TV on VIZ, a special place to be.
Hi, welcome. Come on back. We've got something very special in this art chest of ours today, something very different than what you might expect. But I've seen a lot of these around school. You want to name it? You know what it's called? It's I can't do it. I just can't do it. And when that happens, I see somebody take their paper and wrinkle it up and throw it in a waste paper basket. I really, really wish that this could be called I'll try, I think I can, I think I can. You've heard that story. Yes. Please keep in mind that whenever you're doing any kind of an art lesson or any project in school, you're going to have successes and failures, but don't use that word failure. Kind of turn that into an experiment, something I tried that didn't work, but don't consider it a failure, because the more things that don't work, you know that next time you're going to try it a different way. I've got to tell you about a real wonderful story about Thomas Edison. He had this imagination, this dream of a light bulb that was going to light up all the cities around the world. And he worked at this. He got it down where he had a filament, a little piece of metal inside of the light bulb. Every time he turned on the electricity, it would burn for about 1 minute or two, and finally it would burn out. And of course, we wouldn't want to have that type of thing happening, because people would be changing bulbs all the time. So he worked at it, worked at it. One day a man came to his laboratory and said, Mr. Edison, you told me you've failed at this thing 500 times. When are you going to give up? Mr. Edison says, no, sir, I didn't fail. I just found out 500 things that didn't work. Now, isn't that a beautiful story? I'll throw my I can't do it away, because I want all you boys and girls to say, I can do it, I'll try. And if it doesn't work, just consider it that you're a scientist and it's an experiment. Okay? Now, I'll bring out my paint, and you're going to be very specially privileged today, because you're going to be having all the colors you want. I'll bring out my little pan of paint and water and a paper towel nearby here so I could blot that. And when I show you the colors now, I have my primary colors. Yes, there they are. You name it. Yellow, red. Okay. Is black a primary color? No. We say black is the absence of all color, and there's white. These two are neutral colors. But we come alongside our yellow up here, come on over, we see blue. Now, if you've been painting at all in class, you know that these colors will mix and make various different kinds of colors. Well, that's part of our experiment, too. So, I'll bring over some manila paper. You boys and girls are going to watch me as I go through my painting techniques today, because I want you to try all kind of things as you do this experimenting. You'll paint possibly with a sponge or with a stick, and you finger paint. You can paint with rags or a piece of paper, all these different ways how to do this. All right. Now, I'll go down into one of my colors. I'll get red. I had my brush into the water, and I've got my red on my brush. So now as I start to do my painting, I'll see what my brush can do for me. Experimenting? Yes, you've tried this before. You can make skinny lines. Put your brush down, you can make wide lines. And if you're nice and handy, you can go along over here and hold your brush up, right straight up like that, and put it down. As you pull it along, you can push down on the brush, and it gets wide and gets skinny. Yes, wide and thin. Isn't that pretty? And you find that your brush, too, if you lay it down on its side, can make a stroke. Look, I'll turn it right around. Do you remember the title of this show was called Free Painting? And that means I did not take my brush and do this by drawing a line around it first, and then go back in with my brush and fill it in. Free painting allows me to use my brush just the way I have my paint on it. That doesn't mean this is wrong. Keep that in mind, that this is a technique we use too. We are allowed to do that, but in free painting, in the lesson we use today, I want to use that nice free stroke. All right, something else with my brush. Look what I'll do here. I don't want you to hurt your brush when you do this, but you can take your brush and wiggle it back and forth a little bit. Come on, brush, bounce up and down, and watch as I do this. Look at the stroke I'm getting out of that. See, it's very rough looking. It's not as smooth as the other strokes I used. So, those are some strokes I can use. And of course, if I suddenly decided that instead of using that brush, I wish to go ahead and use a sponge, I could get a little paint in there and dab that up and down and get that type of feeling. Notice that, and notice this, how the two over here give me, oh, it's a special word called texture. Yes, texture, the way something feels, rough or smooth. And I have a brush that's called a dry brush. It's got a stiff bristle. I'll just bounce it up and down here a little bit to wipe some of the paint off. But as I take this brush now, oops, there I go. I sweep with it, and look how that looks. A very nice texture as well. And that comes from the brush being somewhat dry. So these are all different types of painting techniques that you would like to go along and use. Something else now. I've been painting on dry paper. So if I take my brush and just add water to the paper, first of all, let's see what happens there. There it's wet. Let's go to another color. And as I draw my stroke across the paper, while I'm going on dry paper, watch what happens. And watch what happens now when I get to wet paper. And when I get back to dry paper. Look at that. Now you see, if you had a portion of your paper that was wet and you didn't want it to do this, you say, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, it's real bad. But no, what you want to do is accept that as a new idea. If I want something to look that way, I'll wet the paper first and get that effect. Isn't that neat? Boy, I like that. Now you may want to do something different here too. We mix paint in an empty pan, like I go over and get some white paint. I'll go to the empty pan, mix that up, get a little blue with it, mix that up, and I mix that right up in the little pan as I go along. Then coming to the paper, as I start to paint it, it already now is a light blue. But I could have done something different. That's one way to do it. I could have taken white paint. I'll just kind of move to a spot where you can see and go down and put white paint on the paper and say, it's on dry paper. I think I'll add a little water to it so it flows a little easier. I think I like to mix it, make that sky a little bit deeper. So I'll mix my paint on the paper instead of in the little pan. And look how that looks, where this one looks rather nice and blue, even. This blue is mixing on the paper. It gives me a different effect. That's free painting, free experimentation, and those are the things that you boys and girls would want to try. Who would like to tell me what colors make green? I think I'll set this aside for a moment and get a new sheet. If you don't know, isn't it fun trying? So let's see, I'll put some water on my paper. And I think yellow. And I think red, yellow and red make green. Hot ziggity dogs. Oops. It didn't make red, it didn't make green at all. It made another color. I wonder if I add blue to it, what it'll do. Gee, it's turning out brown. I'll add a little black to it. I got to see what's going to happen here. Ah, but if I look at the picture in different ways, that looks like a sunset with a dark hill. Oh, I could use that in the painting real well. You get the idea? That's experimenting, and nothing is a failure. It's only things that sometimes if I try to make it not run and it ran, that would be a new discovery for me. And I'd remember it, mark it down. Sometime when I imagined what I wanted to do, I'd bring back from my memory all those things that I tried. And if I forgot, I'd sit right back down and practice all over again. So, now your picture can be something very different than what I'm going to do, but I'm going to start to paint a picture here. Free painting, no lines whatsoever, but I'll paint and you watch me as I go along. All right? There's no paint in there whatsoever. That's just water. But the paper gets a little dark when I do that. When it dries, it'll all disappear. But it's kind of planning, so you can plan with water. I think that hill might be green, so my paper is already blue. Maybe it didn't come out quite as green as I want. Let's see if I add a little bit of blue to that and a little bit more yellow. Maybe I'll get the green I want. Oh yes, look at that. And look at all the interesting strokes that go along with it. I think my blue paper would be real good for water. So I think I'll just make that be my shoreline along here. Good. And let's see, I'll just take my brush. I'll use some yellow again and some darker blue. And I think I'll just bounce this up and down like this now. In a different kind of way. What does that look like? Trees, right. Isn't that pretty? And another one back up here. Is that being the color I want? Well, see, these are strokes I'm using. I think I'll go back and add a little deeper blue to it. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Oh, you're going to be a painter. I know you're going to be a painter. Let's see if this is water down here. I think what I'll do, I'll make I waited till this dried a little bit. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Sail. And a little bit of red for my boat. Ooh, pretty. Go back and get some more white and run it along the bottom of the boat. Just a little bit of blue, mix it on my paper. Make some go around top of the boat, you say? Yes, probably so, because those are waves. And you say some birds? All right. Hey, I tell you, a little bit of clouds, yeah. Oh, I like that. You're going to have fun doing this, boys and girls. Remember, imagination, experimentation, no fear of failure. Just go ahead and start to do it, and you're going to be a fine painter. Look at the birds flying by. There's a little fella standing here. So long now. We're going to see you again next time. We'll look into our art chest.